started pouring out of nowhere. Is that her?
Yeah.
Okay. Then when you drop me off the wrong person.
Yeah, we're done for the photo, man.
Errol Spence Jr. Hey, stop that cat. I said stop that cat. Errol Spence Jr. finally explains why he was getting hit with so many jabs and so many hooks by Terence Bud Crawford. What up, Fight World? It's your boy EGO in the back with some bike. Listen, Errol Spence, he took to his social media, and in a now post and delete, he said, had to get cataract surgery. It's been past due. Ish was covering my eye. So he's basically saying that his vision was impacted in the fight with Terence Bud Crawford. Also on this now deleted post, he says, why you think I got hit with so many jabs and hooks? Still a great performance by bro. And we know bro is obviously Terence Crawford. I don't know what urged Errol Spence to post that. Like, I mean, outside of it being current news, and that's where he's at right now with his career. That's where he's at medically. You know, I get that. But, you know, at the end of the day, I don't know that it did him any favors because it doesn't change anything. Terence Crawford beat you convincingly, dropped you 3 times. And at this point, there's a lot of different fan perspectives and even critic perspectives as to what went on. And at the end of the day, people are going to just look at it as excuses, right? You have Victor Conte, who put out his opinion, and he said that Errol Spence foolishly ran up a mountain days or a week before his fight with Terence Crawford. He says that's just basically a no-no. That's something you don't do. Reason being is because at the end of the day, you got to acclimate to something like that. You are from Texas. You did most of your camp in Texas. And you have this different type of heat, like let's say a dry heat or a humid heat in Texas, and then you come out to the Vegas desert and you got a very, very different heat, which is a humid heat, and it's just different weather type. And then on top of that, you add the elevation of running up a mountain. And if your lungs aren't prepared for that, if you've already been pushing yourself to fatigue, which is something that Virgil Hunter actually noted, then, you know, you're just crashing your body. So there's that. People like myself believe in that theory. Like, that's definitely plausible. And also, Errol had been at the weight for a while. But then now he's saying he couldn't see. So when you start tallying this stuff up, it is what it is. And, you know, you got to just really take it on the chin at this point, because the way the fans will perceive this, the perception will just be like, oh, you're making up excuses. It doesn't matter. You know, you're going to see comments like, it doesn't matter. You could have had 4 eyes. Crawford still would have beat you. So, you know, at this point, I just feel like it's probably better to, if you're taking the rematch, focus on the rematch. And, you know, if you can right wrongs or you can have a better performance or win, then, you know, just focus on that. But you're not going to be able to convince boxing fans at this space, at this particular juncture. And then when, and I get it, Errol Spence didn't mention all these other nefarious things that are coming out, like, oh, Victor Conte and Virgil Hunter, they're the ones that said the stuff about Mount Charleston, right? And the lungs and altitude sickness. Fair play to Errol Spence. He didn't say that. So you can't really hold that against him. But I'm just saying, boxing fans can be obtuse. So they don't care about all that. All they know is things were said, and people feel like people are taking away credit from Terence Crawford. He had a sensational victory. Myself, I was wrong. I actually picked Errol Spence to get the victory, My brother, he's like, nah, man, Crawford got this. I can assure you. And I was like, nah, I really thought Errol Spence could do it. You know, as far as his eye, I mean, to be honest, it looked like something was up with Errol Spence. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that. But maybe Crawford just has his number, you know? That's also a possibility as well. But he was very susceptible, and I think he even got dropped by a jab, you know what I mean? And he just seemed a lot more vulnerable and susceptible. So when you see something like that, your brain can only explain it based on what you think to be the case, you know, especially since Errol Spence hadn't really said much. So all that I know, I can't really speak for everyone, but all that I know is Errol Spence, he just looked completely different than he has in other fights. It looked like a very off night, and now he's saying he had a cataract that was covering his eye. I really don't even, like I said, I don't even doubt these things because he was in a heinous accident where he got ejected from a car and hit asphalt. I think that has a lot to do with vision problems and him later having a detached retina, and now he's saying he has cataracts, because there's no age that you can get cataracts. Young people can get cataracts, but if you look at the average age of someone with cataracts, it's probably people in their 60s, like 60, 65, things like that. So he is pretty young to have cataracts. I truly think that accident, you know, took his toll on his body, and that's why he later developed some of these other problems like the detached retina and things like that. However, I will say this is, at the end of the day, you were cleared to fight through the commission. You took the fight, and I'm going to speak on this because I want to really put a note out for fighters in 2024. But before I finish this video, a word from our sponsors. Now, the Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. At the end of the day, people are going to just say Errol Spence is making excuses. You know it. I know it. That's how boxing works. So, to be honest, he should probably just focus on if he's doing the rematch. As far as the recovery, I looked up the time, like the average time. Obviously, people have individual needs and case-by-case basis, but the surgery in and of itself, if everything goes smoothly, it doesn't look like a long recovery time, so it shouldn't too much stall out the fight. Errol Spence, one thing that is concerning is all these injuries and activity. You know what I mean? Because Crawford, with all this stuff coming up, Crawford, he's definitely going to be the favorite. Like, even before this, he would have been the favorite, but now you add Errol Spence is posting this and stuff like that. Crawford, he's going to be a big favorite. He's going to be a big favorite because you have to understand, at the end of the day, Crawford is injury-free to our knowledge. I'm not saying he's never had any injuries or he doesn't have little nagging things or, you know, pain and aches and ligament damage, things like that. All fighters typically have something. But the point I'm making is, at the end of the day, it seems to be recurring and a bit excessive with Errol Spence. So if you got a guy who's constantly, you know, having these ailments and surgeries on his eye and stuff like that, versus a guy who's a beast as a fighter in Terence Crawford and doesn't have those things, then it's going to be hard to not have him as the favorite, right? So I feel like Errol even putting that out, really, it kind of puts more pressure on him, because if you're saying, hey, I caught so many jabs and I basically couldn't see, what happens if the second fight looks like the first fight or worse? You know what I mean? Then that's really going to hurt you, because you'll be fresh out of You got the cataract surgery, and I don't know. I just seen in the past fighters sometimes are defiant by nature, and that's what gets them that far. So sometimes fighters, when they take a loss, they got to reason with it, and they got to find a way to explain what went on. And we're going to see if they do the rematch. We're going to see if Crawford just has his number or if Errol Spence could at least perform better. And then really at this point, it's not even just about performing better. It's like, can you achieve a victory over this man, Terence Crawford? So there are a lot of different kind of excuses as to why Errol Spence performed how he did. I really, when it comes to the cataract, I don't doubt that. I mean, he's not putting a patch on his eye and all this other stuff. I don't think that's fake. I don't think he's faking it. But I do think that accident has taken its toll on his body. So I told you I was going to finish with this. This is my message for fighters in 2024. If nothing else, just mark these words down. These fighters need to know their positioning a lot better and make decisions that are beneficial to them. If you notice, all the fighters with PBC that end up taking, you know, big losses or whatever, a lot of them made poor choices, in my opinion, in terms of where they were and the move they decided. Like, and I think this is synonymous with black culture as well, where, like, you know, black culture, black people are tough and strong. So naturally they feel like bulletproof and like, man, ain't no one gonna do this. And I don't care who up there, and, you know, have that kind of like machismo and that warm bloodedness and that bravado, like back down from nothing, like Cassidy freeway battle, you know, that bite. But you got to still be sensible, because Errol Spence, Deontay Wilder, right, Jermell Charlo, they all kind of lost before they actually lost, given some of the moves they made. Errol Spence, you're saying you have eye damage and cataracts covering your eye, and then you fought a beast like Crawford. On top of that, you gave him coin flips. On top of that, you were out the ring over a year when he had a fresh fight in December versus David Avocado, right? Same thing with Wilder. You had one round from the Tyson Fury loss, and Joseph Parker had been fighting 3-4 times and even fought in Saudi Arabia 50 days before he fought and beat you. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, these decisions got to be smart. Jermell Charlo, he moving up 2 divisions. He moving up 2 divisions, 14 pounds, to fight a great fighter like Canelo off of an injury and off of a long layoff. I mean, fighters got to move smarter. I understand you feel you could beat anyone, but if you want to give yourself the best fighting chance against great fighters, Canelo's, former champion Joseph Parker, and guys like Terence Crawford, especially Terence Crawford, a guy like that, I feel like give yourself a fighting chance by actually fighting to make the fight make sense. Meaning, take a tune-up if you need. Don't fight a beast off of a long layoff. Don't fight off an injury without getting to test your hand for Jermell Charlo, your eye for Errol Spence. But just being tough, that's not going to give you longevity in the sport of boxing. You got to be systematic, know your body, and know what's right for you. So I'll probably talk about this in some more future videos. Subscribe to the channel for all your boxing news. That's the latest from Errol Spence. He's recovering from cataract surgery. The EGO Injury Report.